My name is Paul Shelley, and welcome to Galactic Historian. This is a series where I talk about all things sci-fi and space lore. Today, I'm going to be doing something a little different, and doing a list. I know, I'm really catching up to the meta of 10 years ago, but this list is a little different. Given the vast amount of material on Star Citizen's lore, many may not realize that there are many ships mentioned in the history of the verse that even get spotlights and stories written about them, but may never actually make it into the game itself. This is for many reasons. Many of these ships are older, in some cases centuries old, and are often built for roles that have long since vanished. Others have had their manufacturers disappear into the sands of time, and no one remains to keep making the ships and parts needed to repair them. Whatever the case, today I want to highlight 5 lore ships which I think are the most interesting, and in my opinion, should end up in the game at some point. Let's start this off with an unusual one. The Origin 600. Now I know what you're going to say. The 600 is already in game. But to that I say, actually, it isn't. The current 600 is the 600i, which was released in the 30th century and was an upgrade of an older design. The original 600 was a dedicated cargo ship, using much of the current exterior as we see today. It seems to have been one of, if not the, first Origin ship built after shifting gears away from pure engine manufacturing. It was also a good bet, as the post-Messer cargo crisis was in full swing by the mid-29th century, and Origin was one of the number of new manufacturers who rushed to fill the void left by the cargo hauling ships that became defunct when their Messer-friendly companies collapsed. We only know of their existence thanks to the story of the Towhill Regatta, where the captain of a converted 600 cargo ship returned home to save the people of Towhill from their sinking island. The obvious reason for this ship to come into game is simply because of a practical ship by Origin, especially a cargo ship the size of the 600 series, which would make it a much more viable ship for players while retaining the sleek Origin aesthetic. It would be a massive hit with cargo haulers simply because of the massive area that could become cargo space, stuck to a ship that packs a mean punch if it needs to. The next lore ship that should make the jump into the game is the Tamarin Jackal fighter. This is likely the ship that was the inspiration for the creation of the Hurricane. This twin-seater Tamarin combat ship played a large role in the Second Tamarin War, where the pilot and co-pilot worked in harmony to ensure their phalanx shields were directed properly to deflect incoming fire from human ships. They were featured prominently in the story Instrument of Surrender, where the last remaining Tamarin holdouts used them to battle the humans at the end of the Second Tamarin War. Check it out if you get a chance. It's a very good story. Given the move towards multi-crew ships and the popularity of the Hurricane, this would be an easy addition to the game. With a focus on engineering gameplay over pure combat, it would make for a tough, nimble fighter and a great foil for the Hurricane and other heavy fighters that rely on their pure punching power. Number 3 on this list is a personal favorite, and I for one have been hoping to see this in the game for years now: the Aegis Bearcat. The Bearcat was developed as Aegis' entry for Project Brawler, to create a ship designed for close-range dogfighting, ground attack, and logistical support. It went head-to-head with the Anvil Hawk, and was said to be in all ways the superior fighter and overall better ship. However, when it came to the specifics for the competition, it struggled. The last death knell for the Bearcat was the cost. The ship was a bespoke craft that cost billions of credits to develop, while the Hawk was designed from inception to use parts from ships like the Hornet to reduce the price of maintaining and building them. As such, the Bearcat was relegated to the dustbin of history. However, given the nature of the Bearcat, a beefed-up close-range dogfighter from Aegis, it'd be a great addition to the medium fighter range that is currently lacking in variety. It could be longer range and perhaps focus on E-War or better scanning than other medium fighters, giving it an edge in the soft factors over its overgun competition. Plus, everyone likes more Aegis ships, especially fighters. Number 2 on this list is a fan favorite and one that will likely put me in hot water for not putting it number 1, but it's my list, so my rules. Anyways, number 2 is the Crusader Jupiter. Built sometime in the early 29th century, the Jupiter was the first real ship that Crusader had made. Previously, they focused on surface-to-space shuttles, But the breakdown of logistics caused by the great cargo crisis going on at the same time caused them to develop their own transport to deliver their shuttles to market. After they built and tested their designs, they began using the Jupiters to bring their ships to market, and the large ferry turned a lot of heads. Soon, they started selling the Jupiters themselves on the market. While it was never explicit, given the timing, it's likely that the Jupiter is the progenitor of the Hercules series, making the Hercules a slimmed down version of the Jupiter. Now, it's obvious why I think the Jupiter should be brought into the game. I've been a proponent of ro-ro ferries, but for ships, for years now. The vast size of Star Citizen's universe and lack of reliable infrastructure, outside of some very narrow numbers of systems, will make larger ships with long ranges capable of transporting people and ships and vehicles at low cost extremely valuable. CIG seems to agree, since they created the Liberator, a shorter-range combat version of this very same ferry idea. But there is still some room for long-range ships with beds, amenities, and the ability to transport people, cargo, vehicles, and ships from one planet to another, and the Jupiter is the perfect candidate for this kind of transport duty. Before I get to number 1, I want to remind you that this content is brought to you by my patrons. Their contribution has allowed me to get better equipment and justify the time, research, and effort I put into these videos. If you want to join them in helping me, the link is in the description below. Otherwise, sharing these videos with your friends and your org mates all help promote the channel even more. And at the very least, leaving a like and a comment will tell YouTube to share this video and share my content around this site. Quite literally, none of this would be possible without people like you watching right now. So, thank you. Now, the number 1 is the RSI Zeus. This is an iconic ship in the lore of Star Citizen. It's the first affordable and commercially available quantum-capable ship. It is literally the Model T of spaceships, and has achieved legendary status amongst spaceships enthusiasts in the Star Citizen universe. It is said that Silas Kerner, founder of Consolidated Outland, has several of them in mint condition in his personal collection. It's not hard to explain why this ship should be available in-game. It's a piece of living history, and the analog, more NASA-style aesthetic would please many fans, even if it were a fairly low-value ship in terms of use. For many, the idea of earning or finding a bit of history that they could show off to friends would be enough of an allure to try to get one. So they're the top 5 lore ships I think CIG should add to the game. What do you think? Would you like these ships in-game? Would you prefer other lore ships? Let me know your list in the comments below. And as always, remember, ex Historia ad Astra.